Welcome to Baby Boomer Tales. My name is Jim. Thank you for riding along today. We're going to just take it nice and slow. I would say you don't even need to buckle up, but today's episode we're talking about the greatest inventions since. The wheel was invented around 3500 BC. It was created because of pottery to help make bowls and drinking utensils and things like that. In 3200 BC, they first put a wheel on a chariot. Another great invention, the nail. You know, if you were a hammer, everything would be a nail, that kind of thing. 3400 BC, in ancient Egypt. Screws were invented in the 1st or 2nd century BC by the ancient Greeks. Sometimes a screw is better than a nail. The optical lens, you know, glasses, microscopes, photography, television, etc., 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 as way back in the day, invented by the ancient Egyptians. The compass is invented in China around 300 to 200 BC. You know, 300 to 200 BC. BC, they're counting down. After BC was over, we count up. I know you knew that. If you didn't know it, that was a public service announcement. I mean, I know it. I know you know it. I am not trying to insult your intelligence or talk down to you. Usually I'm talking up to you. Hi there up there. So let's continue with this. Paper. 100 BC in China. I think this is an amazing thing. They've got to figure out how to make paper out of a tree. An amazing feat of human engineering right there. In the 9th century, gunpowder was invented in China. Now, you might not think that that was a great invention because it is used for so many weapons of destruction of man and whatever man encounters. But without gunpowder, we could never build a tunnel or make a huge hole in the ground for a skyscraper. Or there are so many uses of gunpowder besides guns and cannons. You know what I mean? But without gunpowder, it would have been a whole lot harder to feed everybody on this earth as we became a species that didn't just hunt with spears. You know, go try to kill the woolly mammoth, about 20 of us. 15 of us would get trampled and killed with their mammoth tusks and all that stuff. Gunpowder really helped mankind. We would not be here in the numbers we were, and you might say, well, that might be a good thing. But if you want to run around in a loincloth, not just in the confines of your privacy of your home, you know what I mean, but gunpowder is a good tool and an important invention for man. 1439, a German named Johannes Gutenberg invented the printing press. Electricity along with fire, and those were not invented. They were already natural phenomena. We just learned how to harness it. Electricity and fire. The internal combustion engine was invented in 1859 by Etienne Lenoir. Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone in 1876. The Wright brothers invented the airplane in 1903. And Altair released the first personal computer in 1974. There were computers before that, but that was the first personal computer. So I can make this podcast. So you can cruise the internet. So I can watch TV anymore. Now, these are some of the monumental inventions of mankind through the ages, but not to mention refrigeration. Where would we be today with our food sources without refrigeration? Steel. Steel is in so many applications we use. Our cars, our kitchen utensils, buildings, our roofs, our grill. Gotta have steel. You want to be able to grill. Antibiotics. Our life expectancy is more today because of modern medicine. Pasteurization, like your milk, your beer. Pasteurization. You don't want worms crawling around inside of you just because you drank a little milk. It gives it some sort of a shelf life also, that and homogenation. Soap. It'd be a pretty stinky world without a little bit of soap. The radio. Concrete. If you see pictures and read history of the cities, especially where there was a dense population of mankind, without concrete, the roads would just be mud, let alone everything else. And one of my favorite, and I'm not really sure it's an invention, but the way we acquire it anymore is, and that is music. I'm sure the first Stone Man, old Alley Oop, sang that song, Alley Oop, 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 Oop. But man at his earliest had some form of music. It is a form of communication, which it still is, form of storytelling. Music is an amazing thing, and I'm not sure inventing it is actually correct, but I had to put it in there. It is so important to mankind and to living things. Look at your dog or your cat. Look at your houseplants. Without music, they do not thrive as well. Now for the top 10 55 years ago. That is the top 10 pop songs this week in 1968. Number 10, The Ballad of Bonnie and Clyde, Georgie Fame. Number 9, Tighten Up, Archie Bell and the Drells. Number 8, Dance to the Music, Sly and the Family Stone. Number 7, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, Otis Redding. Number 6, I Got the Feelin', James Brown and the Famous Flames. Number 5, Sweet, Sweet Baby, Since You've Been Gone, Aretha Franklin. Number 4, by the Beatles, Lady Madonna. Number 3, by Gary Puckett and the Union Gap, Young Girl. Number 2, Cry Like a Baby, the Box Tops. And the number 1 song this week is for the 3rd week. It'll end up being number 1 for 5 weeks. Honey by Bobby Goldsboro. And honey, I miss you, and I'm being good. Our unusual fact this week, a cloud weighs over 1 million pounds. How can that be, you say? You look outside and it's a sunny day and there's a few clouds in the sky, and look at those and figure those suckers each weigh 1 million pounds. The reason they can float up in the air like that is the water in the cloud, and the water is what gives the cloud weight, is less dense than the water in the atmosphere and the air. That's why, along with gravity, you don't float away. The water in you, which we're a high percentage of us are made out of water, is heavier than the water in the air. That is why on a day when the clouds are low and like maybe fog, whatever, it feels wet to your skin out there. Clouds are full of water. Apparently when they get so full, they turn kind of gray and rain. I don't know. I read about it and I studied it and looked at it and got a little confused. But clouds are full of water and they weigh over 1 million pounds. Amazing. Some of the things that are great inventions to me, and I just wrote a few down. I just want to talk about them just a little. And the first one came to my mind, the greatest invention, when it first came out anyway, the cup holder in your vehicle, you know. Remember driving down the road with a Coca-Cola or sitting between your legs? You're trying to push in the clutch and change gears and not spill that drink. So you're driving and shifting and pushing in the clutch and pushing on the accelerator or maybe hitting the brake, and all this at one time trying to balance that drink right between your legs. That's really the only place it could be. You couldn't set it on the seat. It's going to fall over. An amazing thing. A simple little cup holder. I like cup holders. My lawnmower has a couple cup holders. And it does come in handy. My wife always, in summertime, I go out there and I'll just mow and mow and mow and forget to drink any water. And she'll come walking out with a bottle of water, and I take a big drink and I put the cap back on it and I put it in my cup holder and continue to mow. Another great invention, the chainsaw. Can you imagine? I'm always cutting trees down around here. went for a little walk a couple weeks ago. Kim and I went for a walk around the property. There's this one path we can drive through it and go to the back of our property without having to drive around and drive over the dam. And it's almost like going through a tunnel. Well, two trees have gotten so they are stooping down, they're swaying down, and they're blocking that path. I've been ducking as I mow under them. So there's going to be, if I don't cut those down, I won't even be able to use that as a shortcut for my lawnmower. So I'll cut down 2 trees there. Then I saw another place I need to cut down 2 more trees. So this spring, my project, or one of my many projects, but a high priority project, is to cut those 4 trees down. The whole trick to the matter is getting them down low enough so you can mow over them. 2 of them, I don't need to do that. They've just swooping down. But 2 of them, they're right in the path. They've grown up. If we were going to do that with an old-time saw, I'm on one end with a big handle I grab on both hands, and Kim's on the other end, grabbing on both hands, and back and forth. You pull it back, and then you push it back, and when you're pushing, she's pulling, and when she's pushing, you're pulling. Back and forth and back and forth. It'd take all day to cut one of those trees down, instead of about a minute and a half, if that long. Chainsaws are a great invention. As long as I'm working outside, my riding lawnmower. That beats having a bunch of sheep trying to cut this grass. I would never have a lawn. We wouldn't have lawns if it wasn't for lawnmowers. And the riding lawnmower, especially these 0 turns. You don't have to go halfway around the lawn, just turn around. You just turn around. They're a wonderful invention and a time saver. They're great machines. A recliner, like a chair, it lays back. My newest recliner does it electrically. Just push a button and a motor reclines for me. Push another button and the headrest, you can adjust it, or another button for the lumbar. It's a great, great thing. What an invention. The recliner. I know the Romans reclined as they ate grapes and all that stuff. But nothing like reclining in your chair in the evening and watching a movie on your 60-inch TV or whatever you have. I mean, 60's pretty small anymore, but that's okay. Microwave oven. It's a great invention. It's never going to replace your oven, okay? But it is going to zap that thing in 30 seconds to a minute, where you'd have to wait for half an hour for the oven to warm up and warm your food up and whatever. It is by no means designed to replace the cook in the kitchen. It's just a warmer-upper, basically. It does a fine job. Although my wife found that warming up a piece of pizza or something, that was already cooked, the air fryer works better because the microwave makes it kind of, limp. Whatever. Indoor plumbing. One of the greatest inventions of mankind. No doubt. Where would we be? Well, we'd be in the outhouse. That's where we'd be. Freezing our keister off if it's in the winter and smelling the whole place up as you're sitting there, not being able to read a magazine because it's not a comfortable seat in the house anymore. Another great invention of mankind is the fork. Let me just throw in the spoon and the butter knife also. But the fork, it sure beats chopsticks in my opinion. Now, if you prefer chopsticks, that's fine. The power drill. When my grandpa died, my dad's dad, when he came home from sorting out Grandpa's affairs, he asked if I wanted some of Grandpa's old tools, and I said, sure. He gave me a drill and some other things. This drill was a hand drill. You kind of hold it, and it looked like an old egg beater that you do by hand. And what is this? Today, my drill, battery powered, it's a great drill. But I still have Grandpa's drill, no doubt. I still have Grandpa's drill. I know the compass was an ancient civilization invention to give me GPS. Now, that works on, the compass theory, apparently. But it tells you so much, so fast. You don't have to remember which way is north. I love GPS. Better than those old road maps. I don't know how we ever got around in a big town before GPS. Another great invention of mankind, scissors. I don't know when those were invented, but kudos to that person that invented those scissors. Another great invention of mankind that we just take for granted, for sure, but we use them all the time, at least I do, and that's baggies, Ziploc baggies. What a great invention. I'm using them all the time, that and Tupperware. But I use a baggie more than Tupperware, and there's more applications for a baggie, if you know what I mean. Another great invention, the washing machine. Or you can go down the river and beat your clothes against a rock. I don't care. I'll take a washing machine. Another great invention of mankind, and I really appreciate this, and I know they've been around a while, shoes. I even like shoes around the house. I mean, house shoes, but shoes, what a great invention. If we wouldn't have invented shoes, we'd probably have hoofs by now. I don't know. Another great invention, canned food, or the ability to can food, canning food. Make your food, especially the perishables, like your peaches, let them last a long time so you can have them in the winter. Great invention. And the last one on my list, and all of these that I've named here, are the greatest inventions since sliced bread. I saw a show about that one time, about how sliced bread was invented. We take it for granted. 100 years ago, though, we did not have that, and it is a great invention. And all these other inventions are the greatest invention since. You can find us on Facebook, babyboomertales.com, almost any podcast provider, and YouTube. Please look us up. The only thing I ask of you is if you enjoy our podcast, please share it. I really appreciate it. And most of you must, because we are growing and I cannot give you my gratitude enough. So let me give you my gratitude. Thank you. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Always be kind. It goes without saying. I'll be back next Wednesday. Peace out.